Well, hello everyone. It's Brinley Tucker and the infamous Monica Reynolds. Monica, how are you doing today?
Oh, the great Brinley. You love to just say infamous, don't you? You're such a silly person. All right. Well, we've got a whole bunch of.
It.
I do. Oh, yeah, I love it. So we have a whole bunch of people getting on the call right now. So you are in the right spot.
Wow.
We've got some great tips on the Perfect Operations team. We'd love to share with you. And if you're getting on early, just a reminder, our class starts next week on April 4th. And we'd love to have you join us. We've had such great reviews. We've got interviews with the top listing specialist, TC, and director of operations. You can interact with them, so it's really fun. We've got some cool PowerPoints that they've given us. So we got some really good stuff we'd love to share with you.
Absolutely. And what I love about today's topic, what we're really going to be diving into is organizational development, right? And really how to structure your operations team, how to structure your organization for success, right? Because I think a lot of us, we make that mistake. We either structure it too early or too late. And today we're really going to give you some deep tips on how to set yourself up for success as you develop your organization and build your team. Someone's asking for the handout. We are not able to upload for this webinar. Of course, we always do with our group coaching programs that we have. So take really good notes.
This will be sent. I think this gets sent out. However, if you come to our class, we have a PowerPoint and a handout.
Absolutely. So,
yeah, you know what I like talking about? I like talking about all the mistakes people make so you don't go make them and you go, oh, I heard that could be a problem. We can't do that. They're very costly, especially when you see most markets, there are a few out there that are not going into the shift, but most are shifting into the shift market. And so there's a whole bunch of different things you have to look at. And, you know, just because we're on early, if you have your shift book, I'd go read Tactic 12 about 5 times.
Absolutely.
Gary Keller did a great job on that. And it's all in there about the shift and what you need to do. Expect every deal to be a tough one. Expect it to happen.
Monica, that's the beauty of what being in our Keller Williams culture is all about, right? Is we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Gary wrote the model. And I think he said in his mastermind this year, you know, the problem is that you guys are going out and doing what everyone else is saying and not what I'm saying. I wrote the model, right? It's got proven results. And so that's what we really want to strive to educate and dive in today is the model is simple. It's simple. We just have to have the grit and the longevity and the persistence to follow it, right?
There you go. Hey, I think we're at the top of the hour.
All right, let's open it up. So hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Building a Successful Organizational Model for Growth with your MAPS coaches, Monica Reynolds and Brinley Tucker. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and you will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you have questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That's fasttrack@kw.com. That's all for me. Monica and Brinley, take it away.
Brinley, let's get it started. So thanks, everyone. You're on this call today. It's a webinar on the Perfect Operations team. We're going to take a deep dive into the listing specialist, the TC, and the director of operations. And again, before we get started, we have a class that's starting April 4th at 11 o'clock Pacific, 12, 1, and 2 Eastern. So we'd love for you guys to join our class. So with that, let's go to the first slide, Miss Brinley.
There we are.
Okay, you take it, Brinley. Go for that one.
So I think the first thing that we talk about, and Gary teaches us when we talk about developing an organization or developing a team that's going to attract high-level talent, is that we have to know our why and our big picture. We have to know where we're going. We have to be able to cast that vision to attract the talent that we want. And we have to constantly have a bigger vision than they have for themselves. So first and foremost, what is your mission, vision, and values? Do you have your mission, vision, and values written out? Do you have clarity around what those are? The number one, and Monica, I'm sure you see it as well, that we see with teams in attracting talent is their value proposition of where they're going isn't there, or it's not clear. And, you know, Keller Williams has done a really good job of two things. Gary's always had clarity around what his mission, vision, and values are. and his perspective. And he's allowed them to actually also change as the industry has changed. So if you look at the first slide, we've given you an example of what Keller Williams' mission, vision, values, and perspective is. And their mission, the mission is why we do what we do. So for Gary, it's to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. His vision, which is where we're going, how do we show people that this is where we see ourselves in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and this is how you can grow within our vision. Gary always talks about that his world has to keep getting bigger so that he can retain the talent so that their worlds can keep getting bigger, because the minute that the talent's world becomes bigger than ours, then we lose them. They go to seek that vision somewhere else. So our vision for Keller Williams is to be the real estate company of choice for our agents and their customers. So what he's saying here is we not only serve our customers, but he says to our associates and our agents, we serve you also, and we serve you on a big scale. And our job is to always be the company of choice. So we're going to continue to grow through that vision. And then, of course, the values. What are the values that we hold ourselves to? Monica and I call this your business integrity check. Most of the time, if something is out of alignment in our business, meaning we're not hitting our goals, we're not generating the revenue that we want to generate, or we're not getting the profitability that we want, it's typically because we're out of alignment with our values. And if we go to our core values and we ask ourselves, are we in alignment? We can find where the misalignment is. And immediately, once we start to get that value back into alignment, we start to see the growth that we want in our business, and those challenges and opportunities tend to correct themselves. So our values for Keller Williams are God, family, then business. And with our values, are we going back to our values? When we find trouble in our business, are we going back into our team members and saying, are you putting business before God and family right now? And that's why things are showing up in your world the way they are. Where are you in alignment? Is God first? Is your family coming before the business? Or are you sacrificing your family time because you're in the business too much? So really getting clear on what your values are and who you want to be in your business for you, for your team members, and for your customers. And then lastly is our perspective. And what I love about Gary's perspective and Keller Williams' perspective is that this is what he has changed. He's allowed this to evolve with the way the industry has evolved. So it used to be a real estate company. And when he made the announcement that we were now becoming a tech company, he changed the perspective. And now our perspective is a technology company that provides the real estate platform that our agents, buyers, and sellers prefer. Keller Williams thinks like a top producer, acts like a trainer consultant, and focuses all its activities on service, productivity, and profitability. There's no question here as to what we do and why we're here. And this is what starts your big why. This is what starts to show the big picture. Where are you going? Why do we show up every day and do what we do? I heard from a wonderful mentor of mine this morning, why are we in business? Yeah, we're in business to have businesses worth owning and lives worth living. We're in business to make money. We're in business to be profitable. If we didn't want to be profitable, we would work for a nonprofit, right, Monica? So it's important to find, right? It's important to find out how we get that profitability and then how we allow others to also increase their profitability so they can enhance their life. So, Monica, do you want to take us next into where we have to be successful and talk about our org charts that we talk about?
Yeah. One of the things that we go through is the org chart from the MRE2 book, which we have permission from Gary to use. And so, one of the biggest challenges, and we go through a lot of mistakes that agents make, and then really understanding what is your why for building a team. Okay, you got to know your why, and have real clarity on that. And then a lot of people make a mistake with expansion after they have 2 assistants and one buyer agent. Now they're going to relocate in another area also. Big mistake. So we go through all of those mistakes. And when do you hire a director of operations? And when does that person come into play? And how many units should you be doing at level 5 when you're bringing on a director of operations? And so we go through each one of the levels very, very clearly so that you do not make the mistake financially, emotionally, mentally. People have lost families over trying to build too fast. We have a system, and Brinley and I can both tell you that when you go out of the model, it doesn't really work well. I have yet to see someone out of model that is profitable and that has built a successful business. They usually have to stop, tear it down, and start over. Don't you agree, Brinley?
Absolutely, and it's very expensive to do so. They lose a lot of money.
Yeah, and so just real quickly on this slide, when you look at the top there, and that's the Rainmaker, there's a lead manager, and there's 2 ISAs, OSAs. There's a lead buyer agent, 2 showing assistants, and there's a director of operations and 2 transaction coordinators. You are at 150 plus transactions. You are not at 75 transactions to have this type of business going. One, because of profitability. It's expensive to have all these people. It's time expensive. It's financially. You've got to have the business that's being driven. You have to have at least 150 plus to get into level 5. Don't you agree, Brinley?
Absolutely. And this is how the model is intended. And I think we throw around that term director of operations so quickly instead of going level 1, level 2, level 3, having that EA, then that TC, then that listing manager. Now you bring in a director of operations. You know my favorite saying, Monica, you can't have a director of operations until you have operations to direct, which is level 5. Your organization has to look like level 5. And we get this question a lot. Well, who's going to be the showing assistant? Who's going to be that ISA? You are. You or your lead admin are going to wear those hats until the P&L and the organization support that hire, right, Monica?
Yeah, and so, but in backing up all of this too, on this last slide, not to confuse everybody, where people make a mistake, I've literally seen a very, very top team where the Rainmaker had every single person reporting. The other mistake, and Brinley mentioned that, is that you become a director of operations before you have the operations to direct. And so we go through each one of these positions. We show you the onboarding and offboarding processes. So it's very, very clear. So let's go to the next slide, Brinley. Take it away, Brinley. Non-talent in a role in talent. Boy, this is a really good one.
This is a big one. And we started the slide by calling it must have a budget for operations talent. I think the number one thing that I see, and Monica, I'm sure you see it too, and we see it all across the country, is that we hire too soon. We're feeling the heat. We're stuck in the weeds. We want help. And I heard this the other day. There's a need hire and a luxury hire, right? Like the leverage hire, there's a leverage hire and a luxury hire. The leverage hire is someone that you need in the business. The P&L supports it. You have 6 months of reserve. You have the salary to support it. The luxury hire is, I just don't want to do it anymore, right? I'm over it. I don't want to do it. And how many times do we make luxury hires instead of leverage hires? And what happens is when we make luxury hires, we end up hiring non-talent versus talent, right, Monica?
Yeah, and then can I just throw in my puppy one?
Yeah.
So my favorite one is when you have someone you think is talent and they end up turning out to be the puppy in the office. Oh, he or she's so well liked. Everybody likes them. They've got such a great attitude. Oh, well, they don't quite do the job. And we all know what a puppy does every day if you locked it up in the house. You know what a puppy does.
Yeah.
And so be sure you don't have puppies that you thought were talent but turned into puppies. And I think that's really clear. Go ahead, Brinley.
Yeah, so I love the puppy story. It's one of my favorites because that's what happens, right? And now we're having to take care of the puppy more than the puppy taking care of us. And that's what happens when we hire for luxury and not for leverage, is that we end up, it's like hiring someone to, do your laundry when you really could do your own laundry, right? You're still having to manage them. You're still having to tell them how to put it, how do you like your laundry done? Do you like it hot? Do you like it cold? Right? Opposed to when you're getting to that point where you really have no time to do laundry and you don't care how it's done. As long as it gets done, it looks nice and it's 80% as well as you would do it. That's leverage, right? It's not luxury, it's leverage. And so when we look at this talent chart, for those of you that have seen this, as we have a million times, we challenge you, go through this talent chart with the people in your organization. Write all of their names down on a sheet and then rank them on a scale of 1 to 10 for all 7 items. right? Do they bring you problems or do they find you solutions? 1 being they bring you problems, 10 being they find you solutions. Rank them on a scale of 1 to 10. And then add up the average at the end. And I think you'll be really surprised to see what your average is on whether you have non-talent or talent in the role. For those of you that have never seen this before, print it out, put it in your office, put it everywhere. Make sure it's in front of everyone in the office. Because here's the thing, guys, we all have a bad day. We all come in. There are days that some of us show up as non-talent. We're human. We're going to show up as non-talent. And we need to be reminded of that. We need to be reminded that we are talent. And this is how talent shows up. Because the minute that non-talent enters our organization, that's when our culture starts to decline. That's when our results start to decline. And there's nothing that can spread like wildfire and more like a cancer than non-talent in an organization. Monica, you've had some experience with that, haven't you?
Oh, just a few people, haha.
Over the
but
years.
I wanted to share one thing. And so in our training, which starts next week, Brinley and I really work hard on the TC, the listing manager, the director of operations. When you have a problem, you own it. You're the CEO of that file, that problem. And if you need help, you go to the rainmaker and you say, here's the challenge. Here's what I feel would be the solution. Am I on the right track? You just don't go what I call bring the baby with the dirty diaper and say, this one's for you. No. So we really go into leadership, into owning those problems in these calls.
And I think that's why our course is so great for agents too, because so many agents struggle or have the opportunity to know what real talent looks like, right? What does a strong listing manager look like? What does a strong transaction coordinator look like? And what does that strong director of operations look like, right? And we've seen proven track record, proven results in the role. And what we do is we give that success. So we take this chart and we amplify it. We show you what does a listing manager that finds solutions, that shares your goals, that knows what you want, that pushes you, that continually raises that bar. What do they look like? How do you find them? How do you retain them? How do you coach them? How do you mentor them? And I think that's what's amazing. So the next slide I want to talk about is you must hire the right talent, right, Monica? So I want you to take this one because you've had so much experience on what it looks like to hire the right talent versus the wrong talent, and then what the tools are for hiring the best.
Are you saying I have so much experience because I'm old?
Absolutely not. I would never say that. Ever.
No,
ever,
I'm just
ever.
kidding. I've been doing this for 40 years, longer than most of you guys have been on walking around on the dirt. So here's the bottom line.
Wise.
If you look at Gary's quote, when I'm doing all I can do and cannot do anymore, I know I'm missing a relationship. However, don't hire the wrong person because you're still missing a relationship. And so we go through a complete onboarding process. In career visioning, Brinley, what have you taken it 15 times? 12?
I love how that number grows every time.
11. 11. Okay, I'll get it right. And I've only taken it 3 times, to be honest. I'm signed up for my 4th one next month. So every time, and so we recommend that a director of operations, of course, follow the career visioning process. And then obviously a detailed job description. We go in depth for someone who only does listing management, only does a TC work, and only is a director of operations. So those are extreme detailed job descriptions. They set the expectation day one. It's also a checklist for training. These are the things that are going to be expected. This is what you will be doing. And we all understand the 80-20 principle and making sure that you are doing the right things at the right time and not putting the most important critical priorities to the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's the KPA now, and anyone who hasn't taken one on this call, go take one. They have 32, 33 categories now to make sure that you are in the right role. The track record of... Go
Monica,
ahead.
Can I interject there just for a minute? On that note, guys, like Monica just said, there's 30 roles. So for director of operations is a perfect example. Transaction coordinators are a perfect example. When the KPA first came out, those positions, they didn't have enough data to support. Those positions are now there. And you can have your market center administrator or your MCA, whoever's in charge of your KPAs in your market center, rerun your job match, just your job match and your job fit with a new role. You don't have to retake the KPA. Don't retake the KPA because it actually will skew the assessment and the results because you've already seen the questions. Just have them rerun your job fit under a transaction coordinator or under a director of ops. So thanks for letting me interject, Monica, because I think a lot of people miss that.
No, that's a great point because none of us want to take that KPA again. I looked at that thing.
No, I wouldn't wish it on my.
Yeah, I know. So if you don't like somebody, tell them to take it again. But anyway, so just looking at this process, one of the biggest challenges is making sure that you hire when the economic model is in place. We see too many agents who start to bring on missing people and relationships, and they don't have the economic model in place. We're going to go through all of those things. We're going to take the mystery out of it. You may not agree with some of the things we say. However, it will help you be the most profitable as an agent and have the most profitable team. And if you're director of operations, you are in charge of the P&L. You don't necessarily have to do the P&L, but you're in charge of getting it, analyzing it, and helping the rainmaker understand. And in this day and age, Gary says 10% needs to be looking at your P&L. What can you reduce? What can you reduce? Anything else on that slide before we move on, Brindley?
I just think there's so much good stuff here. I think number one is having that detailed job description. When we coach folks on bringing on a new hire, even if you've had the hire before, the first question we always ask is go back to the job description. Does the job description still match the role that you want to hire for? Take the person out of it, take the name out of it, make it about the role and the business. And I think so many times we take the template, right? We go to KW Connect, we take the template, and we just change a few words and we make that our job description. Yet, if we really dig down into it, is that actually the person we're looking for? Is that actually what they're going to be doing? And so one tip that we have is identify the top 3 things that you want this person to be responsible for. What is their 20%? You should be hiring to what the person's 20% is, not what their 80% is. Because if they're good at the 20, they're going to, they'll be good at the 80, right, Monica? Like talent
Correct.
At the 20% will be able to take care of their 80%. So take the 80% off. We don't need to know all the 80%. We need to focus on hiring to the 20%. That's what our job posting should have. Also, talent doesn't want to be treated in their 80%. They don't want to be labeled as their 80%. They want to be labeled, well, they don't want to be labeled, period. Yet if we're going to put a label on them, they want to be labeled to the 20%. So in your job postings, if you want to attract top talent, you have to write those descriptions to attract the top talent. Also, you want to make sure that they have a track record of success. We want to know, like, I get this question all the time, especially with EAs, Monica, I'm sure you get it. Should I hire someone right out of college? If it's your first EA hire, probably not the best route to go. And here's why. Not only are you going to have to train them in the role, you're going to have to train them in how to adjust to a work environment, how to be a professional. And that's not something that most likely when we're in the weeds and we're drowning in our business that we're going to have time to do with that first hire. Now, your third hires where someone else might be leading that individual, yes, those might be opportunities to get a more affordable talent in at a lower level. Yet for that first hire, you really want someone that has a proven track record of success that can come in and hit the ground and run. And then finally, that last piece that Monica said, right? Don't hire too fast. Don't go broke. Tony DeSello, one of the best coaches in real estate ever, says, like, you can ask yourself, like, if I do that, am I going to do that or am I going to go broke? And if we hire too quickly, we don't have the reserves, we don't have the money, we will go broke. So really making sure that you're being economical with your business and really running a profitable 30% profit margin before you start getting into business with other people. Does that make sense, Monica?
Yeah, and then the last thing, real quick, that track record of success, we've got a very precise 30, 60, 90 in our class for each one of the 3 jobs, TC, listing manager, and director of operations, and we show you the conversations to have if they're not meeting the mark to get them up to speed. So with that said, let's go to the next slide, Brindley.
Yeah, this is a great one. We could talk about this one for a half hour.
Well, you go right ahead.
Thank you, Monica. So tips for retaining top talent, right? This is tools for keeping the best. Not only are we as leaders responsible for attracting the top talent, we have to retain them. And talent, we have to continue to raise our leadership lids in order to keep the talent and grow leaders. So, when we talk about leadership, it all starts with self-leadership. We have to lead ourselves first. Then we start to and begin to lead others. Once we've mastered leading others, now we can start focusing on developing leaders. So what are some things that we can do to retain top talent? Well, number one is strong onboarding. How many teams fail because what is it? You only have one chance to make a good first impression. And onboarding is your first impression. It's how you're introducing a team member to your business, how you're adding value to them in return for what they're compensating you. I think sometimes we get so caught up into what can they do for me? What can they do for me? Well, in return, what are we doing for them, right? They're paying us a split so that we provide a maximum value. So from day one of that onboarding process, how are we showing them that value? Are we disorganized or are we a mess? Do we really not have a process? Or do you have a strong onboarding process in place? The great thing about the Perfect Operations team is we're going to show you a strong and give you a strong onboarding process. We're going to help you build that. Next is, are
Brinley, and on that onboarding process, we just did that call a week or so ago, and there were 45 pages that we gave of examples. So we give you blueprints, and then obviously you're going to have to tailor them for some of your different areas and different things that you're doing. However, we take all the guesswork out, and you have to have that first impression that you're detailed, you're organized, you set them up for success. They're not asking you questions because you've got it all organized. If they're lost, they don't understand who's on first base, who do I talk to about this, you've absolutely goofed up the onboarding process. You will not have a winner, team if you don't have this process down. So we take the mystery out of that. Go ahead, Brinley.
Yeah, we certainly do, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's what's so great about this course is that we go deep. We go deep. You don't have to do anything. Some of the comments that we've gotten is that you revolutionize and change the way that we do business in our systems and in our models. And also we've heard from a lot of people that you validated that we're doing a lot of things right, and we just need to tweak them to make them better. So we can always, no matter how good we think our systems are, we are constantly evolving and constantly changing. And courses like this are great because it forces us to slow down, go back and evaluate our systems, and then create onboarding systems because you may have never onboarded someone before, or you've onboarded an assistant, yet you've never onboarded an agent. And I think there's so much value in that onboarding process and doing it the right way. Next is to inspect what we expect. Right? I love this right now that this is happening in our company. So many people are asking the question, oh my goodness, what's going on with Gary becoming CEO again? He's doing what he preaches, right? He's speed of the leader, speed of the pack. He's getting in there and he's expecting what he expects, isn't he, Monica?
Oh, yes. I have a call with him today with the head coaches. Oh, he's involved.
Oh, yeah. And this is, I think we're seeing our leader show up the way he teaches us to lead. So are you inspecting what you expect? Accountable people want to be held accountable. Talent wants to be held accountable. They want you to inspect what you expect. And if you go too long without doing that, that's when you'll start to see a decline in production, you'll see a decline in growth, and you'll see a decline in culture. The next piece is training. Are you offering the training, the systems, models, tools, and training that talent needs to succeed in their role, right? If you're not offering the systems, models, and tools, they will go elsewhere to seek out those systems, models, tools, and training. Don't you agree, Monica?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If it's not there, talent will go seek it from someone else because talent creates it. Talent.
You got to be sorry, Brinley. You got to be the guru of training. You got to be the college, the university. You got to be the answers, or at least show them, hey, here's where we find this. But more importantly, building a training success manual, and we give you tips on where to get all this information to help these guys be great agents or be great admin. Go ahead. Thanks, Brinley.
And that's in our course, you guys are going to hear Monica and I do this back and forth a lot, right? Like we interrupt each other and we add value because we get to see so many things through our coaching calls, through the time that we spend with teams, and we want to bring you guys that value. We want to save you the scratches and the bruises and falling on your knees and having to get back up, and that's what we help. We help you identify what you need to inspect. We help you identify where you need to get the training in your organization so that you can retain that talent. Next is mentoring and coaching, right? It's our job as leaders to be able to mentor and coach our people into success. Well, in order to do that, we have to grow, right, Monica? Like, I don't know.
Absolutely.
I have five coaches and mentors in my business, probably about a half a dozen to a dozen that I call for expert advice, not afraid to ask for help anymore. I'm not afraid to raise my hand and say, you know what, I don't know. And in order to become better for my people, I have to be willing to go out and speak. So humility really comes in, and your ego really has to go out the door so that you can be 100% for your people and mentor and coach them through success. And that leads right into standards and accountability. One of our top agents, Tim Heil, he says, standards without consequences are merely suggestions. And that is so powerful. How many of us actually have suggestions? We think we have standards. We have in our team member agreements. And that's another thing that we give you in the course. We give you proper team member agreements to protect you in your 1099 relationships. Yet, how many of us put in those member agreements that we have standards and this is the standard and you have to close 2 a month? Yet, how many people have we had on our team that consecutively, month over month, are not delivering those results? They're not closing 2 a month. Well, do we really have standards? And then, Monica, who sets the standards on the team? We know this one, right?
Well, it's not the buyer agents.
No,
but they do
it's not.
But what happens is your lowest guy on the totem pole, no matter where it is, admin, buyer agents, etc., that is your standard. So if your standard is that each buyer agent sells 3 homes a month, and you've got an agent that hasn't sold anything in 60 days, and they're the puppy in the office, then you have lowered your standard to 0. You don't need to sell anything to be on our team.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Monica, but Monica, I love them. And they work so hard and they try so hard, and and they're going through a divorce, and their kid just got kicked out of school, and I can't let them go right now.
Really? So you're going to set that as your standard. And the bottom line is we go through all these scripts. Firing, per Gary Keller, is never a surprise. So you have what we call a corrective conversation. We go through that. We help you with the script, and we show you the importance of standards. And people like to know what they need to do. And if you show them the path, they don't do it, then they will deselect themselves. You probably will never fire anyone if you do a corrective conversation with them and set the standards of what they need to do. They deselect themselves automatically. It's magical how that happens.
It's so magical. And you know what always fascinates me is that, but the team loves them so much, and they're such an integral part of the team. And I have yet to meet a team that once someone has left the organization has not either understood, right, and been empathetic to it, or has been like, okay, we move on, right? Most people are intuitive to know when someone's not happy or someone should not be on the team, whether it's their best friend or their worst enemy. And so I think sometimes as leaders, we create stories that this person needs to stay because of our own fear. We don't want the job back. We are afraid that other people will leave. And therefore, we just prolong our lack of success and our lack of results because we're trying to take care of those fears or to feed those stories rather than just changing the story and taking the risk. Also, Monica brought up a really good point. Gary says it should never be a mistake because when someone's not delivering results or they're not hitting a standard, that comes back to us as the leader, right? We hired that person. That's on us. So we have to be willing to go and give them systems, models, and tools to set them up for success, give them a chance to correct themselves through a performance improvement plan, which we, like Monica said, go over with you in the program, and then allow them to correct it themselves. We hire adults, right? We hire people that should be able to show up and deliver the results that they agreed to. And when they can't, we have to get out of business with them. Yet as leaders, we have to give them every opportunity to succeed, to know that we've done our part. And that's why standards and accountability are so important. That's why 411s and 135s are so important. They take the personal out of it and they make it all about the results, right? It's very hard to get out of business with someone solely based on the fact if whether you like them or not. It's very hard to have a corrective conversation to say, yeah, I just don't like the way you're doing this, and so I think we need to fix it. It's much easier when you can say you committed to making 25 recruiting calls today and you only made 15. So what are we going to do tomorrow to get to 25? And then after a week of only doing 15, okay, now we have to have a conversation, right? There's now a track record of not hitting the result. not doing the activities. So how are we going to improve the performance? What's the plan? It's our job as leaders to help them come up with a plan. And what's fascinating, like Monica said, is that plan does one of two things. It either lights a fire and you start to see a totally different person, or they self-select out of the organization. I don't think I've met a successful person yet that's had to fire someone. People fire themselves, don't they, Monica?
They fire themselves. It makes it easy. All right, what's our next slide?
Well, just one more thing on that slide. At the bottom of the slide, we put in a quote that I love.
Oh,
employee engagement, right? Which I would change employee to team members, right? Well, I don't really like the word employee. I think it shows like an entitlement that as leaders, like we're partners, right? We're partners in our business. So if we said team member engagement equals motivation, equals performance, equals productivity, which equals profitability. So the final point on retaining talent is to have fun, right? We are not living life to not have fun and be happy. So what are we also doing to improve the culture in the organization to have fun and retain top talent? You know, we have some great coaches in our organization, Wendy Pavazan, CC Underwood, and they do some really fun team events. You know, Wendy's done axe throwing, and her team's gone to a dance studio, even the men, and Jay Pavazan, and learned how to do a Beyonce dance. You know, CC Underwood just rented out a roller skate rink, and they all dressed up in 80s clothes and went roller skating. So yes, we have a high results, high stress environment and culture, and a culture of productivity, yet are we getting people out of the office and making sure that we're having fun? Are we asking them when's the last time they took a day off? Are we making sure that they're taking care of themselves? High performers tend to just put their heads down and not take care of themselves. And as leaders, in order to retain talent, we have to help them self-care and force them, go take a day off. Go help yourself and be with your family so that you can come back to the business refreshed and ready to go. So Monica, anything else to add on retention?
No, let's go. Let's move on.
All right. So put your questions in the chat box. We're going to go over a few things on what we're going to be doing in the course and talk about that. Yet we've got some time. So if you have questions for Monica and I, we have a couple hundred people on the call. So this is your time to ask questions. There's no stupid question. You can put it in the chat box so that you can remain anonymous, and we'll answer those questions. So Monica, you want to go ahead and tell them about the course and why they should sign up?
So if somebody asks me, what is the Perfect Operations Team course about? Well, it's not the basics like the Perfect Real Estate Assistant. We hope you have the basics down. If you don't have the basics down, you'll probably be a little bit over your head. It's for agents building a team and looking at specifically listing managers, the TC, and also the Director of Operations. We do 6 calls on each one of those positions, everything from the perfect profile to the hiring process to setting up expectations, the job description, the scripts that they need to use with clients and with agents. We go through all of these 6 calls on each one of those categories. So, for example, in the Perfect Real Estate Assistant, we only do 2 calls on the category of listing manager and TC. These are 6 deep dive calls. We show you who to hire, how to train them, how to set the expectations, how to monitor it, how to inspect what you expect, and how to grow that person into other leadership roles if that's something that they want to work on. And so with that said, that when you end up, you've got probably, it looks like, I think it's about almost 300 pages for the total 3 positions. So there's like almost 100 pages plus on each position. And so this is different than the Perfect Real Estate Assistant, because people say, well, is it the same stuff? No. This is another level of conversation. So when you've got your systems down, like your pre-enlist package, we're not going to talk about that. But we are going to talk about things at the next level, how you manage. So, for example, we interview a wonderful TC that does 47 closings a month. We interview one of the top people in the company as far as a director of operations. They do over 2,000 transactions, right?
Hands down. Well, we interview 3, right? Like we interview 3 amazing individuals. I mean, I think that alone is worth the price of entry.
And you get a lot of their materials. They give us stuff to give you, which is valuable. Plus, you get to interact with them. You get to talk to them. You get to, chat with them in the chat box. So the bottom line is this is a very comprehensive class if you're building a hub and expanding. If you're really building out your team and you are in that 4th, 5th level and you're going on to 7th level, this is mandatory. You really do need to sign up for this class. And by the way, if you put in FR100, I believe, you will get a $100 discount. So you will get a discount, and so you know exactly. Go to mapscoaching.com, and you can find us there and sign up and put in the discount code. So with that said, do we have any questions started, Friendly?
Well, the first question we have, and thank you, Kristen, for your kind words. She said, hello, thanks so much for hosting this webinar. Would this be beneficial for a team already established with a TC and listing manager? Yes. So the Loken group, which the Loken group, their whole team took it. And they're very established. I think what's really cool about the course is that you can sign up for one. You only have to pay for one entry, yet your whole team can do it. So what the Loken group did is they put all of their ops team into a conference room every week. And so they all heard it together. They all did the homework together. And then they were also able to then implement it throughout the week. So, and we have a lot of people that ask, should I take this if I'm in mastery coaching? And yes, because your mastery coach can help you take this material and then dig even deeper into it, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, and let me share something else, which is really awesome. We really want the rainmakers on these calls too. So we want you to do this as a team together. Go to a conference room, put it on speaker, listen to the material, talk about it afterwards, and then put things into place. Here's what's interesting we found out. I've had people email me saying, hey, my listing specialist, hey, my buyer agents, hey, our showing agents all listen to this because it's good for them to know what these guys and gals are doing. And so we're saying put everybody on this call. You're only paying for one. You can put 12 people on the call. So the calls are live. We're not a recorded call. We're live. You get to ask us questions live, and it is recorded so that people can go back and listen to it if you want to again and again and again. All right. What else, Friendly?
We also have people that are retaking the course for the second time because we're constantly evolving the material, right? We have Kelly in command from our first program. So we're integrating that. We interview different people, so you get to hear different perspectives. So we actually encourage you, take it more than once. Gary tells us.
There you go.
Take it 10 times and then teach it before we master it, right? Someone asked the question, so if you've gone out of model, right, and you're not at level 5 and you've got a little wonky, how do you get back into model the fastest? Monica, you probably have a lot of experience in that. How do you get back into model?
Well, first of all, you've got to look at what your org chart is first. So that's number one. Put your org chart together, no matter how bad it is. Like I said, I got someone who has like 22 people reporting to her. Okay, put your org chart together. Look at that. Then you take another org chart that's in model. So whether you're at level 3, 4, or 5, take that next org chart with blanks in it. And so with those blanks in it, then you start to put position the people in. So for example, if you have 5 buyer agent, who's a leader there? Who could you talk to be the lead buyer, buyer agent manager specialist that runs the buyer team? You can only have 3 to 4 people reporting up to one person. So that's the first thing is you get a blank org chart and then you look at your current org chart and start to fill it in. And then you see who needs to be elevated if they have the talent to do that. If not, you need to hire better people that have leadership skills so that you can fill in those spots. I hope that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something to add to that too is that are you creating a culture of we all do whatever it takes? And that might mean that you may have to wear several hats no matter where you are in the organization. The teams that I see succeed at the highest level is that they're not someone that says, well, that's not my job. They have talent that says, you know what, the TC might be out this week and I'm going to help her out and I'm going to do whatever it takes to grow our business and support our team and support our agents. So my first question would be, do you have the right talent on the bus? Sometimes you can get quickly into model just by going through that talent and non-talent chart and identifying who's not talent in the organization and getting out of business with them, asking yourself, how many of how many luxury positions do I have in my organization that I don't actually need them. I just have them because I don't want to do that job. And I ask you, and Monica will ask the same thing. Tony and Diana and Joe will all ask you the same thing. Do you want to be a realtor or do you want to be a business owner? Because realtors have an org chart full of luxury hires. Business owners have an org chart full of leverage hires. They hire the right people to leverage the right things in their business so that they can go on and be the true visionary. They have an org chart of integrators that go and integrate their vision so that they can go on and build bigger business and build a bigger world to retain their talent. A couple more questions. The discount code was FR100, FR100. That'll give you $100 off the program. Also, remember, guys, this is a monthly fee. So for $199 a month, you can have all of this content. You can have Monica and I coaching your team. I've committed and Monica's committed to being involved and being more involved on our Facebook group and really helping you through this 18-week course, build the team that you need. Another question is it beneficial to take this course if this is what we are working towards at the moment, but not quite there yet? Oh my gosh, Monica, how many times do we get that question?
Yeah, and you know what? You always want to be looking ahead. And so when you go into this course too, you're looking at, okay, we've got this in place, we've got this in place. Okay, that we'll put in place in the next 6 months or next year. You want to know what the big picture is. Remember when people say, well, I really want to know what the big picture is. Where are we going? This is the big picture. We take the mystery out of that. You'll have detailed forms, checklists, scripts, conversations. You will have everything you need to know what the big picture looks like when you get there.
Yeah. The FR100 code works only with our program. We got that question. And this person's a single agent and saying that they don't have a team. I will tell you right now, the single agents that have taken our course have thanked me for challenging them to take it because it's given them a perspective of what they need to build now in their business so that it's ready when they start to make those hires, especially that first hire. And number two is what you focus on expands. So by putting yourself in a course and saying, you know what, I'm going to focus on this, you will get there 100 times faster than if you just continue to look at yourself as a single agent. Monica, would you agree?
Yeah, education is education, and when you invest in yourself and you invest in your future, this is going to help you.
Yeah. I have a listing manager and a TC, but need a director of ops. Should I take this class? Yes. You need to know what you're looking for, right?
Yes, and you need to make sure everybody who's on the bus right now is in the right seat and understands what that seat involves. Yes is the answer. This is the perfect course for you. In fact, we have a lot of people that come out of the perfect real estate assistant, and they just have one assistant, and that's them, and yet they want to see what the big picture is, and then that one assistant decides, you know what? I would never want that director of operations job, but I'd like to own the listing manager job in the future. I'd like to own the TC job. So we help people define what they really are excited and passionate about. The last thing you want to do is take an admin and stick them in a director of operations job when they have no desire to do that.
Absolutely. And, the biggest thing, too, there is your LM and your TC will gain so much from taking this course. Also, it's a great cross-training tool. It's a great cross-training tool because we go 6 weeks into the TC position. We go 6 weeks into the LM position. So your listing manager can learn the TC job and your TC can learn the LM job so that you never get those jobs back. That's the best part, right, Monica?
Absolutely. What's our next question?
The $100 someone's asking, is that off the monthly fee or the overall fee? That's off the overall fee. So, Holly, are you still on the line?
Well, here's my question. We guarantee you that, whether it's $100 off the whole thing or what, it is so valuable. We've had so many people say, oh my gosh, I can't believe how valuable this has been for our entire team. We probably are the most economical thing that you could ever join in coaching for the biggest bang for the buck and the value. I don't ever want to say this too often, but we give so much that it's unbelievable. And we will take you out of the learning curve. You will not make mistakes. I've been in real estate almost 40 years. Brindley's done over 2,000 transactions. We made a lot of mistakes. We're going to tell you, don't do this. Do this instead. Okay?
Absolutely.
So we're full of mistakes.
We are full of mistakes. And we talk to the best teams on a daily basis in our company, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I think we've done a great job of covering everything. It looks like all of our questions have been answered.
Yay!
If you have any further questions, you can email Monica at monicareynolds.com, or you can you can email Brindley, BRINDLEY, Brindley at KW.com. And if you have any questions about the course, to sign up, you're going to go to mapscoaching.com. You're going to click on group coaching or coaching programs. Scroll down about 3/4 of the way down. You're going to see the Perfect Operations team. Sign up, use that code FR100, and we look forward to seeing everyone on April 4th. Right, Monica?
Yes, and the good news is the benefit of you being on the class and hanging on here, we're going to send out this recording so you can listen to it again. Hopefully there's a couple of good tips that will change your business. That's our goal every single call. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one. Thanks.
Share the webinar with people in your office, too. Share it within your office. Bye, guys.
Bye.